I'd like to call the special meeting of the Butte Silverboat Council of Commissioners for tonight, August 10th, 2016 to order. Clerk, can we please have a roll call?
We have 11 present and 1 absent.
Okay, and let the record show that Commissioner Walker is not with us this evening. Commissioner Henderson, would you care to lead us in a prayer and the pledge?
Almighty God, we implore you, look upon us and guide us this night. We make decisions which will greatly affect our community of Butte Silverboat. Direct our thoughts, words, and deeds so we please you and best serve our fellow citizens. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this special meeting is to take care of our annual budgetary items, and so we will reopen public hearing communications 16-305 requesting comments on the proposed final budget for fiscal year 17. I would open it up for individuals to speak either in favor of or opposed to the proposed budget. So at this point, reopening the public hearing, please state your name, address, and whether you are a proponent or opponent to the proposed budget or any item therein.
Little late, but Harriet Vanderhoek, 2601 Grand Avenue. I'm an opponent to the current budget. I remembered this week that the 2016 budget included $250,000 for neighborhood infrastructure improvement programs, but have not heard anything as to how that money was actually used and or a program whereby the neighborhoods could ask for its usage. The neighborhoods could have used those funds to subsidize SIDs. We could have probably raised another $250,000 in property owner commitments, which might have been able to be leveraged for another $500,000 from the state and or other private charities. And that $1 million would have put in a whole great big bunch and many blocks of gutter and curb in the areas where we don't have it. We've been told that over time and time again, that is a normal function of our government to take care of the infrastructure. Greeley has over 60% poverty, below the poverty line. And without assistance and some type of systematic program to improve our conditions, it's not going to happen. Therefore, unless there's another $250,000 in this budget for neighborhood improvement programs, which I doubt there is, I oppose the current budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents, opponents?
I am Jean Rickman, and it's spelled with 2 P's instead of 1. I have tried to find things in the history and I lost myself and I found out 1 P. 2 P's are better than 1. Anyway, 849 West Galena, Butte, Montana. I'm an opponent because I think the commissioners, first of all, thank you, commissioners. I think you need more time to be able to go through this budget. It's huge, and there are so many discrepancies that I have found 10 times, I got probably 45 pages of handwritten notes at home. And this is just where I got to. I'm sorry, my health isn't what it used to be, so I can't stay on it. Before I read what I've given you, there's two things that I don't have on here that I think should be addressed, and that is the Fair Board budget. I was president of the 4-H Council for 9 years, and I was president of the Fair Board for over 11 years, plus I was president of Southwestern Montana Fairplex, trying to get a new area. But anyway, we had $3,000 to run the fair with. And I started out having to have the fair out behind the mall. I got permission, so for about 4 years we had it behind the mall. Then some of the commissioners said, well, we could have it at the Civic Center, no charge, because I was only getting $3,000. I say I, because I worked hard on this. It was everybody on the council. And when we did the Southwestern Montana Fairplex study, we had to hire someone outside of the county, and they tested that we had 20,000 people. So when we started, we had about 300 people going to the fair, still in the $3,500 budget, but in-kind service of moving dirt in to be able, for the animals to be able to be on soil. I should say that, my husband's a soil scientist. And the Civic Center. So with that, maybe add another 3,000 for that. I'm not sure how much that actually cost back then. But I was going through and I noticed it was either $80,000 or $85,000 budget for the fair this year. And I thought, where? Boy, I'm happy. I would have loved to have that. But there's no salaries, there's nothing written down. I'd like to know who was paid, how, where that money went. And because those kids need a lot, and I don't know where the money went. Plus, they kept the county extension agent from going to the fair, which I don't understand and how that was allowed. I'm still checking with the state on that. And they brought somebody in from Bozeman to work on the fair, which I don't understand because they wouldn't know what we know about running a fair. Anyway, that's the one thing. And then, as you guys know, I keep going for the central purchasing. It is an ordinance, and I will be sending a letter to the county attorney asking me why this hasn't been in effect for 20 years. On my study commission, it was voted for and the ordinance was passed. The next study commission has it in their study commission for a central purchasing department. Still not done, so I'm now going to go through the legal areas of that. So I'll read this real quick as you guys have the page. Under the summary to preliminary budget amended as of 2016 plus the budget. I thank you, Chief Executive Matt Vinson and County Commissioners. Due to the timing of the budget and my schedule, I have not had time to go through the whole budget, but most of it. I find so many questions that I find it hard to believe that as you as commissioners, not CPAs, are able to struggle through this mess of a budget. On the amended salary of 716, the salary seemed to be the highest paid to the lowest paid. This should be under departments. Any one person, though, getting a split salary should also be put under their name, the amount paid for that split in each department, and their total salary. There are people's names with their positions like captain. Captain of what? Fire, police, there's other names on there. I had no idea where they would go or under. They should be under which department, not just name and position. Making the commissions and taxpayers search for simple questions, let alone the hard ones, makes the ability to follow the budget difficult, if not impossible. There's so many different places to have to go and check. There are people that work for Butte-Silver Bow that I can't find in the salary and benefit budget. Example, Chief Executive Aide Corey Johns. There are also others, but need to see if they are still working or not before I mention other names. When overtime is not budgeted, where do you find the money for each department? Where is the budget for in-kind service in each department? If this goes over the amount allowed without bringing it to the commissioners, isn't that against the charter? I've seen that in person, and many thousands of dollars. Some salaries are up to $8,000 to $15,000, and why? What about bonus pay? We all know it happens, but where is it in the budget? Where are the expenses for debt service obligations? You know, I know the YMCA, I know we have the fire truck, and several others. Now the aquatic pool, $7,200,000 with a $254,600 a year on the principal, and then $252,000 paid on interest of the debt for 20 years. That comes up to just $2,600 paid on the principal. How does that get paid off in 20 years? Was the interest rate in the $350,000 stated for maintenance, or was this above and beyond what you told the voters and taxpayers? Then transfers, I fight it, it needs to go back to the commissioners. They are in charge of the money, so that should be through the commissioners. Needs to be taken back to the commissioners. They are supposed to be in charge of the money. Examples, transfers to archives. I forgot to put the page number. It's close to the other one, 84, for $476,000. That's a lot of money. I don't know exactly why. On page 84, transfer funds from general fund to assist parking commission with debt service on an intergovernmental loan with the landfill. Now, how does the parking commission end up with the landfill? I don't know. The interest rate based on the intercap loan program, term of loan 5 years. Then the parking commission asked for a budget of $140,000. This must have gone in front of the commissioners because they gave them $28,115. Smells like a cover up to me, but something's wrong here. Then page 79 is transferred to the health department to terminate the drug and alcohol program. Why would you need that much to terminate the program? Why, with all the problems in the field, plus all the abuses that end up in suicide, would you terminate this program? Page 52, professional service under health went from $1,315 in 2014 to $29,499 in 2016. This is throughout the budget, and I know that there's things that change and they add people and stuff, but we don't know it when we're going to go through the budget and try to find out where this money goes. Page 85, transfer to community development. $92,647. I think part of that was for salaries. But then again, that transfer should be going in front of the commissioners. Okay, non-debt, page 77. Now, I love soldiers. I am very much, my cousin was Omar Bradley, so we have a lot of soldiering in our family. So I am not going against this, but I'm just trying to understand how this, I'll read it. Page 77, burial services for soldiers. By law, the county has to give $500 for burial and $100 more than per soldier. Then my quest is, how many soldiers were buried last year? This is a small cemetery. Believe me, I know. I was on the state cemetery board for 10 years, and I've seen almost every cemetery in the country, Montana. Some are beautiful. I'm running out of time, so I have one more question. My house is next to Excelsior. In 2015, it was supposed to be paved. It wasn't. In 2016, it was supposed to be paved. It wasn't. And now I was told by Senator Sesso that it will be done in 2017. But I can't find anywhere in the budget from 15, 16, and 17, anything for Excelsior. There is, Public Works just says roads. So how do I know where the money went for my Excelsior that was caving in because of big semis and big holes? And I showed the article from for the 2015 to Senator Cecil. And he said, oh, I wish you had come earlier this day because they decided that now instead of 2016, it's going to go to 2017. But I keep everything from the paper and the Butte Weekly. I cut out everything. And this is just for 2015. And then 2014 is about as big. 2016 is almost as big, but I think that was because of the elections. So I keep these so that if you guys ever want to question me, I can prove what I'm saying if the paper has written. Thank you. I wish that you guys would take more time on the budget.
Thank you, Jean. Any other proponents or opponents? Last call for proponents or opponents. Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 17 budget. And we will take this up again, I believe, on the committee of the whole agenda when we commence that meeting. So that moves us into section 2, communication number 16-369, Danette Gleason, Director of the Butte-Silver Finance and Budget Department, requesting the Chief Executive to set tonight's special meeting for the purpose of closing the public hearing on the fiscal year 2017 final budget and to adopt the final budget resolution and various rate resolutions. Danette?
Chief Executive, Vincent, Commissioners, glad we're at this point. It's been a long road. We start the budget process January, we roll it out again to all the departments in February, and we start working on it for a long time. 6 months is a long time to be working on a budget. Before I start, I need to publicly thank my staff. I had a few of them show up tonight. Some of them had some other commitments, but you know, without their help, their commitment, and their continued dedication to the people of Butte-Silver and to this county, we wouldn't get through this budget process. We have a very limited staff. Steve Descharme, the Assistant Budget Director, is with me tonight. Julie Connors is with me tonight as well. Debbie Alt's part of our staff. She does the accounts payable work. Rick Soto does the payroll. Wendy McGrath does a lot of the accounting work and budgeting work with us. It's a small staff and they accomplish a lot of work. A total number of years of service with this staff is over 143 years for 6 people. That's an average of 24 years per person. It's just unbelievable the dedication and commitment that they all have. We've had a very busy year. I put a lot of hard work and emphasis not only on getting through the budget process and getting through the financials, but I stressed a lot of other work and put a lot of pressure. Steve and Julie and Wendy and Debbie and Rick have all worked on implementing a new fixed asset system, implementing a new accounts receivable module. They've made a lot of progress and improvements within the accounts payable procedures. We've worked on processes to ensure we have the W-9s are now in compliant with vendors with W-9s out there. We've automated and streamlined the budget process. Steve has put in countless number of hours in a database, creating the budget so that we give, not only do we give you a line item budget timely this year, we gave you a performance budget that had a lot of those items in there that Ms. Rupert was talking about. And if you open that performance budget, you see the number of soldiers that are buried. You see a lot of those talking points that Ms. Rupert had brought up in her comments. I also put a lot of emphasis on meeting our audit compliance. Julie has worked and been totally dedicated to working through a lot of the comments that were made in our last audit. She put a significant amount of time with the staff at the Civic Center in ensuring that we are now compliant with the Civic Center box office account. So I just needed to publicly state, not only are we doing a budget, we do a CAFR, we do a lot of filings, and there's a lot of emphasis put on a lot of other items out there. And I just want to publicly thank them for their dedication and their years of service of commitment to Butte-Silver and the taxpayers of Butte-Silver and the ratepayers. Sorry, just had to take those few minutes because it's, you know, if you knew that they worked holidays, they work weekends, and they work nights, they need a public thank you, not a bashing.
Without bonuses, I might add.
Without bonuses or overtime pay. The summary of amendments that is before you tonight talks about the weed department. We had to adjust a few numbers. We go through like we did prior. We look at the final numbers that we have as far as accounts receivable and payables that are set up. So we had to reduce the some of the capital reserve funds that were available. We increased the one just slightly by $1,413, but we had to reduce the other one by $24,000. It's just an adjustment of some payables that were just handed over to us in the last week or so. We adjusted and increased the RRA budget. Keith Kimball, the accountant for the RRA district, based on valuations, gave us this increase. So that's a good news. Some more additional funds that are available in the RRA district for granting. Community Development Department, we had to do an adjustment of the $75,000. That was a duplicate entry when we were balancing the final resource requirement schedule after having all the resources in. We had taken the $75,000 and allocated actually to a separate department. So you can see the loan that the CDBG grant that we got from Marcom has been separated out. So we needed to reduce that to show it in a different area. We had to reduce the fire equipment training budget again to match up with the number of mills, the 18 mill levy. And after the balancing and the final invoices that were paid on some equipment that was bought at the end of the year. We were able to increase the maintenance district slightly just because of rates and the increased footage. That changes all the way up till the time we send those tax bills out there. And we had to make sure, we adjust them as accurately we can and make sure we get as much budget authority in and available as we can up to that date. Finally, we had an adjustment in the tax increment bond related to the cost of issuance of the bonds. We talked about that last week when the bond resolutions were all passed, that the cost of issuance had to be included. And then the Silver Lake project, we had to make an adjustment for last payment that was made on a project. So those are the final summary of amendments. I've also handed out to you tonight a complete resource requirement schedule for all the funds that shows that all funds are fully imbalanced. We'll be levying the same number of mills as last year, and then we also have included the new debt service, the $505,000 of debt service payment for the aquatic center that adds the 8.59 mills to the budget. We've discussed, again, a lot of the different items in the budget over the course of this budget process. If there's any questions, I would field those questions.
Thank you very much, Danette. Do we have questions for Danette from the council? Comments? Commissioner Palmer?
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Danette, I guess this question, I don't know if it's for you or for Matt. It has to do with the extension agency. We had talked about earmarking or putting $35,000 in there for a second agent. How is that going to work? Is it in the extension agent's budget and then they have sole authority to hire that person, or does the county have the authority to hire?
I guess I can answer that question. It would be pretty much a revision or an amendment to the existing contract that we have with them. So if you recall what's in that, it's money that we match with their funds, but the ultimate hiring of the agent and the ownership, I guess, of the agent is MSU's. So it is a contractual relationship where this individual will be hired by MSU. We do have a seat on the selection committee. We are having a seat in the formation of the job description for the position. And obviously, I think we have got some discussions that will be had with MSU's extension, one of which will take place tomorrow. I have a call set up with Jeff Bader with MSU Extension to talk about some of the nuts and bolts on how this would be put together. So,
The follow-up, then, if I may. So as we all know, the contract with MSU didn't work out very well for the 4-H end of it. And I was wondering if that could be separated So that portion that would hire that second person would not be under MSU, but under Butte-Silver Bowl. Is there a possibility of doing that?
I don't believe so, Commissioner Palmer, given that 4-H is a congressionally chartered program that resides under the direction of the land-grant university within each individual state across the United States. And that being the case, it's Montana State University. Butte-Silver Bowl would not fit the bill under the chartered program of that. I think, you know what, I'm not going to disagree with what you said, because in fact, I agree with what you said. And I think part of where this second agent came from is when we've looked at historically being, you know, roughly the last 4 to 5 agents, we've seen a lot of turnover in that. And a lot of that, I think, is manifested itself in looking at what the job description is that we have been hiring these extension agents under for the last several in succession. It's been a horticultural centric agent, and 4-H is not necessarily about horticulture. It's more about kids and people. And when you compare our extension office to other extension offices, they don't ever put all of that on one single agent. The amount of work and the diversity of the work that the extension does in a community like we have historically done here in Butte. And so this is more of a reflection of trying to figure out a better way for us to serve our community through extension, both 4-H and the horticulture side, and to try doing it at not a budgetary impact or budget, but looking at it in an entirely different way. It's kind of that old saying that do the same thing over and over again and expect different results is not very sane. So we're trying a different method here. I'd be open to including you in the discussion with MSU and see how we can get more involvement in the selection and the job description of the agent, if that helps you out at all.
Just one more follow-up on the same question, if I may. That sounds great, but I think we're about a year or two late in doing this, because I think everyone in here knows that the turmoil that 4-H program went through, and there was a large sector that broke off from 4-H. They're no longer involved in 4-H, and they're starting a new group. And at the end of this year, I don't know, I know the fair showed a lot less animals this year, and hopefully it would turn around and continue to build. But I would like to have some recourse to see if it didn't, and the number of 4-H members are so low, to see this extra money for a person to be hired through 4-H, for MSU to be hired to direct the new group, maybe, that build up its membership. I guess it's too early to tell yet, so I guess I go along with what you have for this year, but I guess this year will tell. I was just wondering if there was some way so they didn't, you know, why hire another person if there's nobody in 4-H, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Point taken.
Chief
Can that
Executive Vincent, Commissioner Palmer, just to make another point of clarification, Ms. Rupert had stated that we give 4-H $60-some thousand, or some, they're the fair $60,000. If you look in the budget book, so it's $1,127. If you look at the budget book and you see the amount that we give, $35,000 is the amount that we give each year to the fair. That those funds are supported every year. They come back to us by this time. They'll start working on it. They give us the invoices and we attach them to the claim that justifies those expenditures. It usually relates to the free entertainment that they bring in as a big chunk of it, and then some other invoices that attach to make up the $35,000. Because we are, the Fair Board is considered a blended component unit of the local government. The chief executive appoints the Fair Board. We blend their books into Butte-Silver Bow's books. So they have a checking account out there that we have to blend every month into our books. because of accounting policies and because of our 35,000 allocation plus the appointment by the chief executive. So those additional funds that you see budgeted in there are not cash transactions from Butte Silver Bow tax dollars or Butte Silver Bow in any fashion. Those are dollars that the Fair Board has accumulated and earned themselves, but we have to count for all those transactions. They at one point in time used to have what's called the Friends of the Fair, which was a separate off from their Fair Board checking account that was a 501c3, a separate 501c3 that they could do similar to what the Friends of the Archives are, and they could do whatever they want with those funds and activities. But the Fair Board checking account itself is in Butte Silver Bow's tax ID number, and we have to blend those transactions and accounts on our books. So I just wanted to clarify that the taxpayers or ratepayers or no funds from Butte Silver Bow other than the 35,000 are going to the fair.
Correct. And I would say, I mean, they really are kind of two different issues, although they're related. And as you're aware, we did make an effort to try and serve both groups and both interests going into this fair. I think just because of the poor timing on some of the decisions that came out of MSU as it relates to when we have our fair, we were kind of stuck with what we got. But I think when, and I'll allow Commissioner Sorch or Commissioner Ralph to chime in on this, given that they have some involvement in this as well, is that, I have hopes that we'll be able to support and serve this new group as well as improve and build up the 4-H program moving ahead. So, Commissioner Sorch.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I believe, we do have some empty spots on the Fair Board at the current time, and I believe that we have an opportunity to possibly revamp some of the way the Fair Board is structured. So I think a new 4-H person or a second one could possibly be a benefit. But I think where there is an opportunity here to really change, to make some changes. But again, we'll have to bring it to council. We'll have to it's at the infancy stages at this point.
Commissioner Ralph.
Thank you. I agree. I think it probably would be better addressed to the Fair Board than through the Extension Office as far as the new group coming on. They were invited to participate in the fair this year. The timing wasn't good for them. They were invited to participate next year, and I believe they are interested in doing so. They said that they were going to. So I think at that point, we can kind of address getting everybody together under one roof in that way and get support to both groups.
I would take this opportunity to thank both you, Commissioner Sorch and Commissioner Ralph, for all the work that you guys did put into pulling the fair off this year, and look forward to getting a report from you on that. So, Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Thank you, Cheryl and John. Yeah, I think that sometimes we're not confusing, but rubbing two issues together, the fair and the 4-H and, this other group. They're connected, but they're not integrated. You know what I mean? So there's some differences there. And I agree totally with what Commissioner Palmer said. And I don't think hiring another extension agent is the answer. But apparently, if we don't hire another extension agent, they're going to use the same amount of money to hire a secretary. So I don't see where we got a benefit in this going either way. So it does no good to oppose that part of the budget, which I certainly would like to, because I would like to see it go totally another route and, go and try to form our own without using MSU, because I think that a lot of the problems when we were back in November and February this year were instigated by lack of communication between MSU and our local facility. And I don't know where it all ended, but, we all sat in some meetings and listened. And I really think that if we had a little more local control over this, we would be better off. So I don't see where we make any benefit, whether we hire a secretary or another agent. I don't think we have much say with MSU telling us what we have to do. I would like to see more local input rather than more MSU input. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. Commissioner Purdue-Dolan.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I concur with Commissioner Fisher and with Commissioner Palmer. I think we're putting a little bit of the cart before the horse with hiring another extension agent and getting rid of the secretary. I think it was brought before us glaringly last week with the need of a secretary in the extension office. So I would move to have to keep the secretary position, and especially with the chief executive speaking with MSU tomorrow and ironing out the details of what's been happening. So I would hope that we could keep what's going on and figuring out the details and not jumping ahead and hiring another person until some of these issues are figured out, and just let's figure those out first and then go from there, because we don't want to bring in more until we figure out the groups, where they stand, where they're going, what's going to happen next year, because and we don't want to look in hindsight, because if we hire another extension agent, the only thing I can think of is a year from now, we're going to say, oh, we need our secretary back, and that's going to be another point of contention and more resources from Butte-Silver Bow. Thank you.
Okay, I'm glad I don't have that crystal ball. But, I would say that, and maybe this is the best way to kind of address this so we can move ahead with it. In the interest of transparency, I mean, I threw that out there as why we would be, it really isn't changing the amount of the budget that we're asking for that supports 4-H. It's how we spend that money, and we can't spend that money in the way of hiring another extension agent or hiring another secretary the way it's been done in the past without bringing that contract before this body. And you have my commitment that we will engage in some more discussion and consideration with respect to the contract before we bring it before this body for final consideration. So at this point, I think we're just, it's been articulated that money would be for a second extension agent, because I personally think that it's worth attempting to try something different rather than smacking our head against the same rock, for lack of a better term, moving forward here. And so if we ultimately decide not to go a different route, so be it. But that is the budgetary request can go either way on this, and we'll get there. So. All right. So at this point, we need a motion on the communication 16369, Commissioner Sorge.
Okay. That number again?
Section 2, 16369.
Make a motion that we approve communication number 16-369 and place on file.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and place on file. Is there anything on the question? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That moves us into section 3, where we need to suspend the rules prior to passing the 3 resolutions relative to the final budget. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I move for the suspension of the rules for the purpose of passing council resolutions number 16-36, 16-37, and 16-38 by waiving subsection 7 of Rule 36 of the Rules and Order of Business of the Council of Commissioners, thereby having it considered for advanced passage without reference to the Judiciary Committee.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. This is a roll call vote, so please cast your votes. All votes in. Clerk, can you please record?
11 yay and 0 nay.
Okay, rules suspended, moving into the resolutions. So resolution 16-36, clerk, can you please read?
Council Resolution Number 16-36, a resolution adopting the final budget of the City and County of Butte-Silver Bow, State of Montana for the fiscal year 2016 through 2017 and setting levies for fiscal year 2016 through 2017 based on the value of a mill of $58,969 city countywide and declaring that all protests against said budget have been heard and disposed of, declaring that said budget contains a correct statement of the amount to be appropriated for each of the funds of the City and County of Butte-Silver Bow for the fiscal year beginning on the first day of July 2016 and ending on the 30th day of June 2017, as fixed in said budget passed on the 10th day of August 2016, and providing for an effective date herein.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Sorge?
Make a motion that we approve
You have to,
suspension of the rules 16-36 and place on file.
you have to follow the standard.
Yeah, we have to follow.
I'll do it.
I'll let you do the next two. Well, Commissioner Shaw.
I'm sorry, there's just a certain way of
fine.
reading it. I move to place Council Resolution 16-36 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there anything on this question? This is a roll call vote, so please cast your votes. All votes in. Clerk, can you please record?
9 yay and 1 nay.
Okay,
Mr. Henderson's has not registered.
can we redo that one?
Yea or nay?
We were missing, or else I could just, do you vote yay or nay? Yay. Okay, so that would be 10 yay, 1 nay. Resolution 16-37. Clerk, can you please read?
Council Resolution Number 16-37, a resolution levying a special assessment for the fiscal year 2016 through 2017 against the property from which solid waste is to be collected and removed from each individual dwelling collection unit for the purpose of defraying the cost and expense of collecting and removing said solid waste, levying a landfill facility access fee for the fiscal year 2016 through 2017 against the property from which solid waste is to be disposed of for each individual disposal unit for the purpose of defraying the cost and expenses of maintenance and operating said solid waste disposal facility and establishing a schedule of fees for such assessment and providing for an effective date herein.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Sorge?
I would make a motion that we approve Council Resolution Number 16-37 and place on file.
You still have to have it read. in a
And
certain
passed,
way.
having been duly read at length.
And pass, having ready to do it length.
Okay. And it needs to be said it was on final reading, and it really has to be said in a certain way, so.
Okay,
Just have.
we'll have you do it.
I'm sorry, John, but.
That's fine.
Okay.
I don't have.
I'm looking at Eileen, our legal counsel, so I defer to her. I move to place Council Resolution 16-37 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
Motion and a second. Is there anything on the question? And the last resolution did pass. I didn't note that for the file. Please place your votes. All votes in. Clerk, can you please record?
11 yay and 0 nay.
Okay, resolution passes. Final resolution, can you please read?
Council Resolution Number 16-38, a resolution fixing and establishing sewer rates and service charges for the operation, maintenance, and capital improvements of the Metro Sewer Sanitary and Storm Sewer System, and for the operation, maintenance, and capital improvement of the Metro Sewer Treatment Plant by the City and County of Butte-Silver Bow, Montana for fiscal year 2016 through 2017, and providing for an effective date herein.
Thank you. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Council Resolution 16-38 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there anything on the question? Seeing none, please cast your votes. All votes in. Clerk, can you please record?
11 yea and 0 nay.
Okay, resolution passes. And that concludes the passage of the fiscal year 17 budget. Thank you all for your consideration and cooperation. Motion to
Move to
adjourn.
adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Sorry, John.
We gave you every opportunity.
No, I didn't have that in front of me.
No, I know, it's impossible. I can't even do it without, I've been doing it for 4 years. Who do I want to be, Brad or Cindy? Give Colleen a chance to get everything together, and she'll give us a high sign when it's time to check in.
Everybody check in.
Okay, everyone check in, please. This chair is too.
I'll get the phone here, please.
I don't need a phone book. Oops. All right, so I'll just put that. Ready? Colleen, you ready? Okay, all right. Once again, good evening and welcome to the Butte-Silver Council of Commissioners Committee of the Whole meeting, August 10th, 2016. Could I have roll call, please, Colleen?
We have 10 present and 1 presiding and 1 absent.
Thank you. Let the record again show that Mr. Commissioner Walker is still not here tonight. Would you, we already had the prayer and the pledge. I think we can probably forego that. So at this point, I would call for any public comment on any item on tonight's agenda. Any public comment on tonight's agenda? Bill?
Madam Chairwoman Cindy Shaw, members of the council, my name is Bill Furco. I live at 4815 South Wyoming Street here in Butte. It's nice to see you all again. I'm here to talk about Communication 16-377, relocation of the county shops. What I'd like to present to you is what I believe a great idea on cost saving some money. And I know that we're all interested in that. Specifically, what I'd like to talk about is related to county vehicles traveling back and forth to the county shops to refuel their vehicles. Given the cyclical nature of gasoline prices, fuel prices, and our absolute requirement for fuel, this needs to be given significant consideration in your evaluation for the county shops. I recognize that. I think everybody does. In the past presentations that I've seen here, what I was shown, or what we all were shown, was that the new county shops were going to build their own gas station, essentially, and continue the practice of refueling at the county shops. It's my opinion that the county forego this gas station, which in and of itself is a substantial cost in the construction, and not really a very cost-effective way in practice for the county. I propose instead to utilize the many commercial gas stations by instituting a fuel card program. The county is a little bit behind the times in this regard because the state of Montana uses fuel cards as well as many corporations, companies. We use them. Any outfit that has a large fleet of vehicles. Government and corporate entities have recognized the benefit of using these fuel cards through enhanced control and accountability. Fuel cards aren't like regular credit cards because they only can be used to purchase fuel. They are assigned to a vehicle not a person. Many controls can be put in place, such as PIN numbers for employees and spending limits per day or per week in the card or on the employee. This is excellent information to have. If you have a fleet of vehicles, at a mouse click, you can look at the history of its NPG, its usage, odometer readings, that kind of stuff. It's good information to have when you want to look at reducing costs in the area of fuel consumption. Accountability comes into play when the vehicle's odometer is checked against the fuel charge to it and by whom. And also the typical mileage one would expect in relation to the use of a specific vehicle. Because of the county's purchasing power, it would not be paying the pump price for fuel at any commercial gas station. I've spent my career in the procurement of goods and services, and I know that large volume buying motivates sellers to give deep discounts. So if your purchasing department is doing a good job, they're going to negotiate low prices for fuel for the county if they go into the fuel card program. It's for these reasons that I believe the program, even if it was put in place today and the shops weren't moving, it would provide a significant reduction in fuel consumption for this county, fuel consumption, gas that we all of us pay for. In summary, not building a county gas station provides an immediate reduction in the total cost for the new shop construction, but it also provides an ongoing, convenient, cost-effective, and controlled method to fuel county vehicles. And it also expands your site selection to other areas possibly where fuel, where the kind of vehicles fuel is a consideration, because they could fuel at any gas station on any corner in Butte with the right fuel cards. That's all I have to say about that. I would like to just mention that you guys did a great job on the county fair. My wife, Alana, and I volunteered pulling beer there on Saturday night. It was a wonderful time. That was a great community event. You guys did a great job. So, thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Any other comment on any item that is on tonight's agenda?
Of course. Already Van Web 2601 Grand Avenue, relative to communication 16-377, the county shop issue. As the Parrot Smelter site is a part of a nationally significant historical landscape, I would ask that this council consider requesting the National Park Service to establish a national historical park on the south side of the Parrot Smelter site once the shops have been removed. I would ask that you vet this concept with your constituents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Any further comment from anyone regarding anything on tonight's agenda? Okay. Seeing none. Report of the chair. I see Danette still in the audience, and I just want to thank her and her staff, and Chairman Sorich, Vice Chairman Fisher, and the Finance and Budget Committee for your really excellent time spent going through everything. I know that there's still questions out there, and Danette's phone is always there. I know she's very available, and she's answered a load of questions of mine that I always thought are dumb, but there are no dumb questions when it comes to finance and budget. We all kind of relearn it every year, and so I would recommend that Jane and anybody else that has questions, that she would be happy to sit down and go through those things. So again, thank you all for that, and I'm glad that the budget cycle is complete for this season, this year, at least for now. Moving along to section 1, communication number 16-151, Sheriff Ed Lester, Butte-Silver Law Enforcement Department, requesting council commissioners authorize chief exec to sign a contract with Community Counseling and Correctional Services, CCCS, to transport youths to the detention center. I did talk to Ed. He's on vacation this week. He said that they are working on an amendment to that contract, so they'll be submitting a slightly different version for us in the future. So we'll just continue to hold this in abeyance, but they are getting close to completing it for us. So we will hold that until then. Section 2, communication number 16-305, Danette L. Gleason, Director of Butte-Silver Bow Finance and Budget Department, requesting Council of Commissioners authorize a public hearing on the final budget to begin on July 27th, 2016, to be continued until adoption of fiscal year 2017 final budget. Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Being that we've already taken care of this, I'll make a motion that we place communication number 16-305 on file.
Second motion.
We have a motion and a second to place communication 16-305 on file. Is there anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Section 3, communication number 16-327, Stacy Carlson, 5230 South Montpelier Road, Denair, California, requesting Council of Commissioners allow sale of property, the Easter Lode Quartz Mine, back to the heirs of Carlton Charles and Marion F. Rhodes. This was referred to the Land Sales Committee, and I believe their next meeting is not till the 24th, so we'll be holding that in advance at least for a few more weeks. Section 4, communication number 16-338, Karen Burns, Director, Butte-Silver Bow Community Development Department, requesting Council of Commissioners concur with the tax abatement for the Copper King Inn renovation project and have the county attorney prepare a resolution to be submitted at the next regular meeting of the Council of Commissioners on August 3rd, 2016. That resolution is in our finance, in our Judiciary Committee. So Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll make a motion that we cross-reference communication 16-338 with resolution number 16-35 and place this communication on file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to cross-reference communication 16-338 with resolution 16-35 and place this on file. Is there anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
No.
Okay, we have a nay on Commissioner Henderson. Section 5, communication number 16-352, Julia M. Crane, Superfund Program Data Administrator, Butte-Silver Bow Planning Department, requesting Council of Commissioners authorize time on July 27th, 2016 to present the outcome of the 2016 SARTA grant cycle. Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had this public hearing or presentation, I guess, last week. So at this time, I'll make a motion that we place communication 16-352 on file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to place communication 16-352 on file. Is there anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Section 6, communication number 16-365, Dennis and Caroline Jennison, 426 North Wyoming Street, Butte, Montana, requesting Council of Commissioners authorize purchase of county-owned property under the Butte-Silver Bow Council policy on adjacent property. This is also sent to Land Sales Committee, and we'll hold that in abeyance for a couple weeks yet. Okay, Section 7, communication number 16-369, Danette L. Gleason, Director, Butte-Silver Bow Finance and Budget Department, requesting Chief Executive to set a special meeting for August 10th, 2016 for the purpose of closing the public hearing on the fiscal year 2017 final budget and to adopt the final budget resolution and various rate resolutions. Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll make a motion that we place communication 16-369 on file, being that we've taken care of that in the special meeting tonight.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to place communication 16-369 on file. Is there anything on the question? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Section 8, communication number 16-371, Tony and Sue Tomer, Elk Construction, Butte, Montana, requesting Council of Commissioners concur with the request to purchase property at 102 East 2nd Street. We have referred that to the Land Sales Committee, and we will wait until they're referenced back to this body. Section 9, communication number 16-375, Cameron J. Moylan, 208 South Washington Street, Butte, Montana, requesting Council of Commissioners concur with the request to purchase property at 102 East 2nd Street in a developer packet style. Again, that has been referred to Land Sales Committee for future reference back to this body, and we'll hold that in abeyance. Section 10, communication number 16-377, Chief Executive Matt Vincent, requesting council commissioners allow for an ongoing discussion regarding efforts to relocate the city-county shops as a result of the state of Montana's pending removal of the Parrot tailings beneath. Chief Executive Vincent.
Madam Chair, members of the council, I don't have a terribly whole lot to report. I do assume you guys have been tracking the additional comments that have come in from the webpage there. I believe we've got 14 new comments weighing in on various sites there. We are in the process of doing some additional analysis on some new sites that have come in. I mentioned a couple of them, I think, last week, being the Joseph property. There's a couple properties now over in the Copper Peaks subdivision area, as well as one off of Montana Street. We are in the process of looking at those potential sites and paring it down to where we can go out and do this site visit of the various sites that are out there for consideration. And I know Public Works Director Schultz has a meeting with or at least has attempted to set up a meeting tomorrow with Helen Joyce to go over some additional cost scenarios with respect to the MSC site. We've got some other discussions that we need to have with some of the other additional sites that have been proposed, trying to find out whether there's additional merit in pursuing those. Hoping that by sometime next week we can schedule the tour, and again, that tour would be something we would encourage you all to come along on, as well as the public. We'll have a city bus chartered to visit the locations. I would say important, I do agree 100% with what Mr. Furco stated tonight, and that was something that I brought to the attention of our Public Works Department as well as Finance and Budget early on in this process. Unfortunately, it's not that simple. We get a bulk rate on all of our fuel, and what we're offered at the pumps at these retail stations is the retail price, which is significantly higher, which is why the MDT, the closest entity that you could compare us to, does not use gas cards. They have their own fuel station out there at the MDT station as well. And I don't know if Danette, since she's still here, wanted to chime in on that as well, but it unfortunately is worth the additional effort in establishing our own fuel station. We do have a pretty per vehicle system where we can track the amount of gallons and mileage on the vehicle, as well as by the employees who are using these vehicles. When you key your card in, there's a different identification number for each vehicle, which we track the mileage for, as well as a unique identification number for each employee that works for Butte Silver Bow. So we do track all of that information that was discussed. And so I definitely agreed with him. It would be a nice thing to free ourselves from that fuel station concept, but there's a good reason for continuing it. So I guess at this point, I mean, that's my update on the process. I can answer any questions, whatever you may have.
Any questions for Matt from council members? Yeah, we'll just wait until we get that list. Matt, would you mind telling us who is on the review committee for the sites that are being considered?
Well, we've, as you know, we've engaged Pioneer, and they've obviously continued in their role to help us with this. It also includes Nick Samford, and who runs our roads division. We have Tom Loggins involved. Danette plays a role in this as well. We have Dave Schultz, our Public Works Director, myself, John Sesso with the Planning and Superfund Division, Julia Crane with the Superfund and Planning Divisions as well. So.
Okay. Further questions? I will continue to hold this in abeyance till the next time. At this point in our meeting, I would call for any public comment on any matter that is not on tonight's agenda. Anything else that might be of interest to talk about? If not, seeing none, anything else to come before us? I know we've got the Irish Festival coming on. It looks like a great weekend, Brendan. I don't want to say it too loud. I think we got all those thunderstorms out of our system all week. So, is there anything you want to say about when it starts? And
yeah, just to remind the commissioners that you're all invited to a reception tomorrow night at 7:30, and the chief executive and those that we've helped us out over the course of the year. We very much appreciate the support. It starts tomorrow night. We have our reception, and then Friday, first thing on Friday morning at 9 through the weekend, we have events scheduled for 3 days. Heavy on entertainment for 2 days, and a mass, an outdoor mass on Sunday. Great lineup. We have performers coming in from all over the world, and we'd like to see you up there and support it, help wrap up the festival season. So see you this weekend. Thanks.
thank you, Brendan. Anything else to come before us this evening? If not, Commissioner Morgan. Oh,
Thank you, Madam
John,
Chair.
sorry.
I just want to say on the fair went very, very well. We had a lot of good comments, there was a few hiccups here and there, that was to be expected, I guess. It's the first one I've ever done, but looking forward to next year. And, I really want to say that the Butte-Silver Bowl staff, the Civic Center staff, they worked their tails off and really made to make this a success.
Great. That's awesome. Anything else? Cheryl?
I do have to echo that. And gosh, the public response has been fantastic. We had so many positive comments about the fair this year, and volunteers to step up for both the fair and 4-H next year as well. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Morgan.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.